Hello, and good evening, I guess. Sort of not totally prepared for this, but here we are. Trying out something new with the background music, so let me know if it's too loud or not. You have to pardon me, I'm also having dessert while I do this. Okay. So, what's the state of things? Right, so we got sort of speed control moving. Which is very cool. But this map is quite dull. So we probably want to make a proper one. But to make a proper one, we'll probably need an editor. Which I started working on over the weekend, so we're kind of ahead of the game. Got a bunch of the hard stuff out of the way for this already, so at the moment it's really done because you can just put any times there. It's the start. File system. So I want to be able to save stuff. So pretty sure that's the syntax, but I will double check because even though I wrote it, you do still forget things occasionally. Get rid of that. All right. Yeah, so it needs the buffer, of course. Can't just save something, you actually need to pass it some data. So that, and the data is always a string, because strings in Ren are a bit weird and they're actually just arrays of bytes. But it works out well for us here. So fairly sure that Ren has a join function because I've used it before, but let's go check anyway. Yeah, I'm a bit out of it today, so unfocused, but I really want to have some editing tools to make my life a bit easier. So there's something pleasant about making tools for yourself. So I think anyway. Oh, it's a list thing, isn't it? Yeah. List. Oh, maybe it's a sequence thing then. I do kind of wish that you could see the inherited methods of a class in these docs. That'd be kind of nice, but there we go. What I wanted to do is basically not use that one, okay? Because there's a lot of hashing stuff that happens with the map coordinates in my hex map, I don't actually care too much about storing full coordinates. I'm not going to be editing this from a text file, so I don't really need to do it that way. Although you could, and there are some instances where that's better, but I don't mind just having key value pairs for data right now, at least to get it working. Had a sample of how I wanted this to look, so pull that out of there. Thought I could get it in all at once, but not today. Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird thing with my scheduling this week. I'm sort of adjusting to a new set of routines with my partner at the moment, so we're figuring things out. But it's coming together. So the idea is that you'll get all of that, and then, well, really you do var equals data, and then you start building up the format bit by bit. So at the moment I'm only going to have one section. That. I like doing these sort of text-based save files and map data files and things. They just feel nicer and they're fairly easy to parse. Trying to do binary type parsing is more hassle for me than it's worth. Now I just need to be able to actually trigger the save action. So, if keyboard what's a good save button? I suppose we're not going to necessarily have this forever. I press the S key. Kind of wish I put slightly more into this API though. I think I might do that, just a small helper method to be like, was this just pressed? Because having to do this twice every single time does irk me very slightly. Oh. Didn't need to be static. That might be why. Oh, this might be an issue with the actual hex map. Okay. My map, dot map, dot keys. Should get you a list of keys. Oh, right, I see. So the problem here is that you might not actually have put anything there yet. So you need this step here. Which is if hex data is not null, do this bit. And then I'll actually need that one depending on what's happened. But otherwise, I suppose if it's null, it's actually empty, so we don't really care. At least not right now. There might be a compelling reason to care in the future. Oh, because it's actually a tile full. Aha, okay. So we're not actually using the correct bit right now, but that's fine. So and this is a dumb way of doing this, but okay, that should have saved the right stuff. Yeah, because now it's got that in there. And just to check I didn't break things. It's possible. Okay, I did break things. Didn't read that bit when I did it. I mean, you could get fancy with serializing and deserializing, but I'm just sort of demonstrating the concept at the moment of how I do things, and gradually building up the file format as I need it. Okay. Because now we have that, we can do save. And we have, yeah, it should be 7 of them, right? Yeah. but having it in the file isn't very helpful if you can't load it again. So I mean, you'd probably want to do some proper error handling here, but I'm just sort of knocking this together right now. So I'm not bothering to battle-proof it. I mean, for a game jam, you tend to assume that you're supplying all of the stuff that you need anyway, so if it's broken, you're missing your whole game anyway. So that splits it into an array of rows, so then very simple state-based file parser for underlining the lines. If the line then we go into tile mode. Well, if we're not currently doing anything in particular, then we go into tile mode. Otherwise, go into, well, if we're in tile mode, then I don't have a good name for this. Split on that equals sign. That's that half. And then split that half. Do that. So that will go through that list of names, so the road's solid here, and just set those to true in the properties of this tile. And then we need to create a new track. That is a whole load of ridiculousness, but yeah, come back to it. Tile.new. not sure. So the way that I do tile maps usually is that I use a numerical identifier for different types of tiles, and then I give those properties, and that number is usually used for the visual of what is displayed in that spot. So what I'm thinking is that the creator of these maps, which will probably be me, doesn't specify exactly the tile or image to use, but the properties of that thing, and then we'll figure out what that should have later. I mean, normally you'd have a tile map as a sprite sheet. Well, you'd have a sprite sheet for your tiles, so you could index into that sprite sheet really easily and say, I want the 5th tile to display on the screen. But with a hex map, that doesn't work, because the hexes are not squares, so they're not going to smush onto one sheet very well. So the numerical value has less use right now. I mean, we probably will still use it as a graphical identifier and just not ready to. So we need to do one other thing here, which is if line is equal to end, and node is equal to otherwise do this. Ren doesn't have a continue command keyword as far as I remember. Syntax is probably the best way to do it. Oh no, maybe it is control flow. Yeah, it's got a break but not a continue. So the only way to skip over this stuff in that event is, because really what I'd want to do in the other languages have that, but that doesn't work here, so this is the closest that we can get. So if the mode at the end is not equal to none, let's return the trunk. That's probably good enough as a starting point. Because then I can go track, dot, track1.dat. Hopefully that's a hexagon or a failure. Okay, that makes sense though, because I didn't actually import the type that I was using here. Like that. Damn. Okay. I was expecting so much more. Just trying to figure out the flow of things here. So on that. Okay. Let's just pre-process that. And that one just in case. Not a good sign though. Oh, I mean, that shouldn't have changed anything, but it should be like that. And then should probably do that just to tidy up, because now we lose that little bit off the end there. So let's take a look at that one. Well, it is at least doing those things in the right way. Just checking I didn't accidentally leave it somewhere weird. Not that that would have looked like anything useful for anybody. So that's all looking quite correct, which is frustrating. Tile to string is actually so that should be like that, and that is a bad sign. Or is it? It kind of is. So those duplicates in my supposedly non-duplicatable set. Oh, that's the thing. Okay. Sorry, that might have been a little loud. So the problem that we're having here, I think, is that the CMD for this is actually a string and not a number, which does not decode very well when you try to run it through a hashing algorithm. There we go! Haha! So now if I wanted to add some bits to this, like that, and then run it again. I should have those bits back. Very nice. Very nice. I'm going to have a little bit of egg cake of reward for that one. That's some good cake. Okay. So I need to be able to unset hexes as well. I can't do that right now. Remove that with the debugging. So the thing here is to say if hex and put one else mac.set. No. Just like that. What did I do? What I can't tell at the moment is if this is just general UI glitchiness or something else. I've been having a lot of issues with my machine recently, so. Not a complete input issue. Oh. Stupid of me. Other way around. That's what I wanted to avoid. If the hex is not to the previous one, then do that stuff. I guess the problem is that the previous is actually set every frame. So what if we just unset it? Sort of. That's halfway there. So that being that way, maybe that should be up here then. But then probably take that out. So that might be better. Sort of. Because we're back to flickering now. Oh, it doesn't even... Okay, that was a bad mistake. At the very least, that has to be down there. And basically what we care about is frown moving like that. Because then well, does it matter? But yes, it does, because if we're moving like that, otherwise that feels so wrong that I'm just copying and pasting like that, but it'll get reflected, I'm sure. Not quite. Don't actually need that. It's hurting my head a bit trying to think my way through this. Thought I'd do a fancy thing and it doesn't quite work. Because I kind of need to break up into stages. So we do that. So if I'm just holding it for the first time, otherwise and sorry, this probably isn't the most interesting watching today. It's close, but not quite what we wanted. Getting closer though. Right, so let me talk my way through this. If I've just clicked the button, then I toggle whatever square I'm on. If I'm still holding that on the next frame, then basically whether I've just put something down or put something up should change the behavior for this stuff. So then we basically just do a node like that. Oh yeah, that's better. That is what I wanted. And I guess you wouldn't think about it too much, but that is kind of what I want when I do this stuff in a drawing program, so yeah. save and load and editor. It removes tiles. So get my drink in. I suppose the other major thing that this needs to be able to do is set the different kinds of tiles up. And at the moment we've only got three kinds of tiles. We've got the road, we've got the finish line, and we have the solid wall type tiles that you crash into. So we need a bit of UI to do that. I'm not sure I want to go full blown into doing a UI right now, but maybe we can cobble something together real quick. Start.fill. That should give me a nice top toolbar type space. Whew, if you're not used to the Pico 8 palette, that looks real bright. Maybe that's just my screen brightness. It's getting late, so you can expect my eyes to get a bit tired like that. I mean, the fact that you can still move it around means that, oh well, that order of operations is wrong. Rect fill. UI stuff. Map separation stuff. So we want to be able to print the mode of the editor. Mode is road, and then modes. We're going to have 3 road modes. Like that. And then if keyboard definitely going to put in a little thing to make that easier, because that is starting to really get annoying. I shouldn't have to write that so often, but that's a good thing. That's part of how API design works. Node +1 modulo nodes count. Zero, 8, what? you can see up in the corner that now cycles through different things. So now let's do a quick helper function. Making tile. And tile.new 0. I don't think that syntax works, actually. I think that for maps, you need to do it that way around, yeah. Okay. Then we can delete there, go new tile. And then change that. Ah, now you see. Now you see. This actually gets a little bit tricky because what I want is actually when you go right, you increase it. When you go left, you subtract it. But a negative subtraction is tricky if they're going backwards in modulo. So see if that works. There we go. So basically the idea is that you shunt it a cycle forward so that it's always positive when you subtract 1. Simple solution. So now you can edit and select your different tiles. Because I use the same renderer between both scenes, you get the same issue. Oh, that's interesting. Null does not implement Q. Where's the issue? No, I think I did something to the window here. Is it just giving me junk values because I'm clicking outside of the canvas? Is that the problem? Because that would be annoying. Let's take a quick look. Quite late tonight, I guess. Okay, so that at least goes negative, so that's not the issue. Is it that I'm like just catching the edge? I think I fixed it. Kind of need a clear all button, but it's fine. Okay, so I'm imagining that you'd have that as your starting area. Like that. So this will be impassable. At some point I need a way of indicating the starting position of the player, but maybe a increased brush size type thing would be useful. Avoid some carefully placed stuff there. I have to say that so far this game has been an exercise in great feel, because the driving around feels pretty good already, and then drawing just pixel by pixel, well, hex pixel by hex pixel like this, it's just fun. I just enjoy it. Like, it doesn't really achieve anything necessarily, but I enjoy it. So if I wanted the finish line to be over here, like that. Let's change how that works very slightly. My hope is to somehow get a nice looking background into this game. But don't know if that'll be something we do today. Well, no, that definitely won't be something we do today. But it needs to somehow look more like it's a real place rather than just sort of these abstract hexes. Yeah, there's that switching behavior is not as intuitive as I'd initially thought it would be. But probably the actual solution to that is to have a separate tool for erasing things and drawing things, like a proper drawing program. But I'm not there yet, so that's what I have to do. Solid. There. But the thing is that at the moment we can't actually play it. But now we can drive around this little track that we made. Crash. But it doesn't treat those as a complete thing because of the There we go. There we go. I think I'm going to call it here for the evening. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening in, if you did, or for watching later, I guess. Have a good time. Let's just get this stuff committed. Sensors, regular work, and playable. Push, drink a tea. Call it done. Have a good evening. Good.